Looking at a couple of ways of creating blood splatter for our miniatures today on Quick Tips. Hi there, Chris here with another quick tip for you all. In this video, we're going to take a look at creating blood splatter on our tabletop miniatures. Today, we are going to use these Chaos Blooded, I think this is what they're called. We're going to use Blood for the Blood God. I'm going to show you a few ways of using this on our miniatures. Now, yes, just like anything else in this hobby space, there are multiple ways of accomplishing your goal. Here, I'm just simply applying some of the Blood for the Blood God onto the palette and using a larger shade wash brush just to simply stipple the effect on and create a slight amount of texture. And this is a fairly controlled way of using this particular product. Now, for everybody out there who's not familiar with this product, it is a very deep red tone, looks like blood. It has a glossy finish to it, and it's perfect for creating blood effects on a model quickly, I should say. I'm going to use an old toothbrush here, and I'm going to grab up the remainder on the palette, put it into the bristles, and yes, we're going to create some nice little blood splattering with this. Now, using the toothbrush method to apply blood and creating this splattering effect on the model, you need quite a bit on your palette, so be mindful of that, and it is going to be quite messy. There's going to be quite a bit on your toothbrush, and there's going to be plenty of Blood for the Blood God on your fingers as well. As you can see, my thumb is getting very, very red, and I think I laid out, I think, 2 dollops or maybe 3 dollops of blood for the Blood God just to take it pretty much this far. And this is a really great way to create that splattering and speckling. Here, I'm going to show you another way of using it. I'm going to use a Badger 105 Patriot airbrush, spraying it around, I think it was like 20 or 30 psi. It doesn't really matter that much. I'm going to use that same shade wash brush, very generous amount in the bristles, and I'm going to hold the brush close to where I want the splattering to occur, and I'm going to use the airbrush. And here's the other factor when doing this particular thing: where the direction you're holding your airbrush, the way you're spraying this so it splatters onto the surface, it does matter which way the brush is pointed. So be mindful of that when you give this a try. For everybody out there who has an airbrush and really hasn't tried this kind of splattering technique, and it's really, really straightforward. You could even do this with a little straw and your mouth, and just use the pressure from your own breath to create that little splattering off the brush. For everybody out there who doesn't have an airbrush, you can just simply use a small little straw. Really quickly here, I'm going to use a little bit more, and then I'm just going to add a little splattering up here onto the shoulder pad. It also gets up onto the face and everything like that, and it creates a nice little splattering, like his claws punched into somebody, and there's been this great big gout of blood coming out of the person, or whatever. It's gore, so we can imagine whatever horrific situation we want to imagine as far as creating this. But that is 3 quick ways of using Blood for the Blood God to create blood splatter on a model. Here, I'm going to show you another way. Now, this is going to be a little bit more applied paint. I'm going to use Rhinox Hide from Citadel. I'm going to add 2 or 3 drops. I'm going to go to a standard brush here, thin the paint out ever so slightly, and begin layering in this Rhinox Hide. Now, I'm using Rhinox Hide because this is to simulate the blood drying. So this is kind of a not fresh blood splatter, but not all the way completely dry either effect. Now, with this particular technique, we're going to do a lot of stippling, being very, very careful. And also, this one is a fun way of going about it without having, blood splattering all over the model into areas of the model that you don't want to get covered in blood. It is easy to get out of hand with blood. And in fact, when doing blood splatters, either on the blades, on clothing, up the feet, on the base, whatever it is, oftentimes less is more. So don't go hog wild laying up blood all over the model. Unless of course that's your thing. Like even corn berserkers laying a whole whack ton of blood on the model, not completely necessary, but it's kind of cool. Corn red is next, and we're going to apply this after that Rhinox Hide and even the second little layer of Rhinox Hide, as you may have noticed as I was jabbering on there. We're going to use some corn red here, and very carefully we're just going to simply fill it into the main portion of where we had laid Rhinox hide. Again, this is to simulate the fresher part, right? So like the darker brown is representing the blood that is dried, and here we have the blood that is still thick enough on the cloth that it is still showing up as red. And you know, you can imagine this any which way, and of course this is a really simple, straightforward way of creating blood on these models. Now, the one thing I will mention is that because we're using the paint straight out of the pot and we're just simply thinning it down with mediums, the paint will finish with a mostly matte finish, or even a slightly satiny finish. Here you can see I'm just simply randomly placing little stipplings here and there of blood. I want it to build up near the bottoms, kind of representing like it's a big gout hit him, and then, you know, the blood has kind of, you know, trickled downwards and is gathering at the bottom kind of thing here. And those are the little lines I created. That was just to kind of illustrate kind of like splashes, or even, you know, creating like a hand, you know, bloody hand was grabbing on, and, you know, all these kind of gory type things. I'm going to take a little bit of the corn red, a little bit of water, thinned it down, and I'm just going to apply this on the bottom just to fill out that bottom portion of it and really kind of bring more red in. Again, I want it to feel like this drying up on the top and it's still thick on the bottom. I'm going to set it aside, allow it to dry, and you can see here, as I mentioned before, it has a slightly matte finish. Now, that will read well, and for all of you out there who prefer a matte finish to your models, by all means, can carry on. We're going to use Ard Coat, slap a little bit onto the palette, and we're going to use our standard brush and apply it basically where we had laid the blood out. So on the main portions of the blood, I just simply apply it right over to the main portion, and then anywhere else where there's little dots and, you know, little splooches and stuff like that, I put a little thing in there. Now, if I had wanted this blood to look glossy, like the way Blood for the Blood God finishes, I could have simply added the Ard Coat to the paint, and that would have given it a more glossier finish as we had gone through this. But you can see here, you know, again, is just a quick little way of creating the effect of this kind of wet blood on the surface. For some out there, this might be the preferred way. Some of you might prefer the Blood for the Blood God method. And of course, there are other ways of creating blood and gore on a model as well. This is just a couple ways to quickly get you into the scheme of things, as it were, and to help you create more interesting details on your models. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Be sure to leave a comment down below as what you would like to see covered in this series, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe. And of course, take care of your brushes. They'll take care of you, and I will see you in the next video.